today, we're going to actually cover one of my favorite conversations, and hopefully by the end of our time together, it will be yours as well. It's the epigenetics of longevity. And don't worry if you don't know what that word means. We're going to demystify it, because really we are going to remodel our DNA so that you can be ageless and you can live limitless. But before I start with the science and the solutions, I want to share a story, and I want to invite you all in to consider a question that I was asked a few years ago. And when I was asked this question at the time, it seemed very benign. And it wasn't until after I realized the significance. So here's the question. Please play along, and let me tell you, there's no wrong answer. Okay, so let yourself ask this question. Ready? Here it is. Here's the question. What is your earliest childhood memory? Just take a moment. What is your earliest childhood memory? Now, when I asked myself that, what immediately came to me was I saw myself on a stage. I was much younger than I am now. I was a little girl dancing, and I could see out through my eyes my parents, who are here with me today, sitting out in the audience, smiling back at me when I was just a little girl. Now, why I'm sharing this with you is because according to psychology, our earliest memories of meaning inform and influence the rest of our life. Here I am today. I'm not 5, I'm 52, and I'm still on a stage with my parents in front of me. And to say that meaning matters is an understatement, yes? And why I love bringing this up is because this example is truly epigenetics expressed real time. Epi means above. Genetics is the gene. And this is a very fancy term for simply saying it's how our inner environment is reading the outer environment and signaling our DNA. Because how we read the outer world informs and influences the inner world of our DNA, just like our early childhood memories inform and influence the course of our life. Every single input equals an output. And I'm going to explain all this today, but here I want to take a moment and share with you, we unfortunately have been misled to think that our DNA is written in stone and that our DNA is our destiny. Now, did you know that 99.9% of all of our DNA in this room is exactly the same? We are all almost identical to one another. That 0.1% that makes you, you, and me, that's where all the magic happens. And so it's not that it's hard written. Our DNA is not our destiny. It's really our code of pure, limitless potential and possibility. DNA is really probability. And it's kind of like, here's the easy way to think about it. It's like a recipe book. It's the recipe of you. It's a big book. And depending if you need to make more liver cells or you need to repair a broken bone, whichever recipe is needed at the given moment in each second of your life, it's going to pull a specific recipe card to inform what has to be, what part of the DNA has to be read, what has to be transcribed and translated to then go do the job. So it's just like a recipe. Now, anybody in here ever use recipes? Yes? Okay, now if I'm baking, I use a recipe. If I'm cooking, it's just merely a suggestion. I don't follow them. I'm a bad rule follower. But here's what happens. If you've ever made a recipe, think of 2 cooks using 2 different sets of ingredients. One's using organic, one's using conventional. One's using grass-fed, one's using, faux meat. It depends on the quality of the inputs of what you put into that recipe is how it will express for that final product. So this is really the concept of epigenetics. Now, it's much more scientific, but today we're going to just really make it accessible. I'm not here to complicate because we think it's all so complex. And while on one level we're we're actually quite simple. And biohacking at its core is about bringing us back to the core of ourselves. Because the human being is the most advanced piece of technology that has ever existed or ever will. And so think about this. What has to happen is that this DNA, our code of life, is constantly helping us to stay alive. The brain, the body, one main job: to keep you safe, to keep you alive. So in any moment, there has to be a crosstalk to know, is it safe for thriving or is it dangerous? And I'm just not even sure if we're gonna survive. So this intelligence, we live in what's called an exposome. It's one big container that has every single bit of all the inputs of the radiation, the foods we eat, the thoughts we think, the water we breathe, the clothes we're wearing, the relationships we're in, the conversations we're having, the content we are consuming, every single thing, the soil that we stand on, the city that we live in, every bit of it. From the moment we are conceived, this exposome has all this information that surrounds us, and it's the sum total of our exposure to the inputs of life that are talking to our DNA. And so today we're gonna say, okay, let's use this understanding of how we can take these inputs, we can then be more in control or conscious choice of how to actually talk to our DNA in a way that doesn't repress our potential, but in a way that actually expresses our innate potential, because DNA is not your destiny, it is your potential. What you do with it is up to you. Yes or yes? Yes, thank you, my friend. So the way that this communication happens, and we've heard this word used a lot this weekend. If you've been in different talks, you've heard this fancy term called methylation. Methylation, you've heard Brecca was up here on Friday talking about MTHFR. If we all follow him, we know that's everywhere, right? But there's actually something to it. Methylation is a critical process that is involved literally in your genes' expression. Every time a recipe card has to be pulled, methylation is at work. DNA, how it's repaired. We have hundreds of thousands of breaks in our DNA every single day. Now imagine if you didn't have the maintenance crew fixing the breaks. You'd have a lot of problems, wouldn't you, right? So methylation is overseeing gene expression, DNA repair, embryonic development, and protein function. Now literally, amino acids are the building blocks that create proteins. Proteins are literally, when your DNA, those little 4 letters, they make a code, that recipe card, all it's doing is creating proteins. Proteins literally build you. They heal you. They replicate you. They're magic. And this word methylation, it's a fancy term for a process that opens and closes access. So there's methylation, acetylation. You're not gonna get quizzed, I promise. But for my docs in the house, for my scientists and biohackers that want the words, the real simple term is just saying, we gotta open the DNA to read it, and we gotta close it back up to keep it safe, okay? That's it. We gotta open it, we gotta close it so we can access that code. And this process of methylation is the real time, let me go back so you don't see that yet. It's the real time way in which we assess, is it safe for thriving or dangerous and we're only surviving? If it is safe or dangerous, real time, we have to make notes on the DNA so that from one generation to the next, parent to child, that message can be passed on. I gotta let them know this is dangerous. It's not genetic mutations. Those take thousands and thousands and thousands of years. How do we pass information like this? It's epigenetic methylation marks. And these marks, they will sit on parts of your blueprint of life, your DNA code, and they will, it's like writing in pencil. So they're gonna put a mark down. Here's some important information. And that mark is going to either allow, it's gonna literally quiet down that part of the gene, and in some cases, it'll totally silence. Now, it does not make changes. This is important, you guys. It doesn't make changes to your hard code. Doesn't change your DNA code. It's just changing how the code can be accessed and read. Now, let me ask you this. Let's use a little common sense. If I can't hear you, if I can't read you, if I can't understand you, how can I help you? Help me, help me, help me. Every single day, we need our code to replicate, to repair, to rejuvenate. But if I can't read it and I can't get to it, I can't do the thing it needs to be done. And so think about this. As we chronologically move through life and age, we start to build up more methylation. We're going to talk about how that happens in a moment. The more we have methylation dysregulation, the more marks we put on our DNA, the more we can't access our DNA. The more we repress and repress and repress our innate potential. So there's a really interesting thing. It's these marks that they can test to find out if you are aging at a cellular biological level faster or slower than how many candles are on your birthday cake. So it's why I can stand up here at 52 and tell you that right now, and look, I still have a lot of room for improvement. I've got bigger goals. Right now, my biological age is 42. Okay, I got a 10-year gap. I'm doing okay. There's something called the longevity escape velocity, and I know it because we can test it. There are different, and Dr. Joe's in the house. He's like, we got an epigenetic clock coming out. The clock started coming out with Hovarth's clocks back in 2013. There's multiple clocks, there's different clocks. Not one is the only one. They're really there, and everybody's like, well, can we really test biological age? Or not just one age. Every organ, every system works at a different pace. So your heart is working faster and all the time versus my adrenals shut off at night. They're supposed to be shutting down and repairing. So different organs, different systems age at different rates and pace. So we want to take the information in, we want to quantify it, and we can give data to say, you're going faster, you're going slow. And we want to slow down because the longevity escape velocity is saying, hey, technology is catching up so fast and so rapidly that if we can slow down, right? We can slow down for every year that we are able to stop aging biologically, we actually have a net positive gain, right, of a 2-year age reversal. So while my biological age is 42 and my chronological age is 52, I mean, net, like, I really got 20 years, don't I? See how it's all working? So we're doing okay, but this is where we're going because guess what, gang? Aging is defined as a gradual decline in physiological function of the body. But at the Human Longevity Institute, where we train the experts, the clinicians, the physicians, the coaches, where we empower the individuals like you are here who are in the audience today that believe more is possible for yourself. You are sovereign in your choices. You want to live better, more vital, more alive, longer. We believe it's possible because we believe that aging is optional. Can I get a hell yes? How about an amen? It's Sunday. All right, we're going to go to church. We're going to do it. All right, and a hallelujah, because I like it every time on a Sunday. I got to preach. So I'm going to start to preach here in a minute, and I've only got 26 minutes left, so we're going to run. Here's what's happening, gang. Epigenetics of longevity is going to allow you, what we're really going to get into is to help you to change that recipe card, change the inputs so you can have the most pristine access to your pure code without, we're going to start to erase those methylation marks. We're going to make more of your code accessible because you can remodel, you can reprogram your DNA to slow down the rate and pace of biological aging to reverse age. And the path, the trajectory that this industry is on is that 100 is going to become the new 60. And we're going to see that in less than a decade. This is not hyperbole, this is fact. This is what's coming. So we're going to look cute for a super long time. And we're going to feel great for even longer. And we are going to have fun because that's what we came here to do. Did we not? Did we not? Yes, yes, beautiful. So here's what's super exciting that I don't think, like, you know, every day if you go to Dr. Google, every January when everybody's doing resolutions, how do I lose this? How do I get that? How I want more, I want less. And there's always some eat right, exercise, sleep well, reduce your stress. And we're all like, have I not heard that 1,001 million times? And it almost feels like it has no meaning. And we're like, no, certainly there's got to be a really cool piece of biohacking technology that's going to get me there faster, do it better than sleep, eat, move, love, rest. No. It can't be that simple. But guess what? It is not only that simple, and there is precision to it. So it's not just general, whitewashed, just blah. There's some beautiful, simple precision to lifestyle medicine. And this is where you are going to move the needle to not only slow down and reverse biological age, which, by the way, the reason we talk so much about biological age, it directly correlates with all-cause mortality and chronic disease. So I'm not here today to tell you how to treat a disease because I don't believe that you're broken and need to be treated. I believe that you are whole and you are vital, that your system may be out of balance and overloaded and breaking down a little faster, but guess what? The same way it broke down, we can build you back up. And so I want to know, I'm in the business of not how do I treat a problem. I don't believe you have a problem. I see potential. I'm like, how do I help you express your greatest potential to live your longest, healthiest, most vital life? That's what this is about. Not treatment. It's about solutions. And it's 75 to 90% is in the stuff that we think is a yawner. 75 to 90%. Do you know that there is not a single medication or surgical treatment on the market that has a 75 to 90% success rate? Do you know that? So why are we willing to take pill after pill, treatment after treatment, give away our sovereignty to somebody else, put our own health and well-being in somebody else's decision-making, that we think they're going to somehow do it better when we're not even doing, they can't give us something that we can do. I'm pointing to my slide, y'all, sorry. I'm like, it's right here. You're like, no, it's over here. It's over there. Okay, so we get to. You don't have to, but you get to if you choose to. Take back your power to heal, your power to thrive, your power to live a long, beautiful life, as long as you want it, optimized. So I want to ask you, because just like our early memories have meaning that inform and influence our life, I want to ask you, what does aging mean to you? Buildup of error? Okay. So aging, so I want everybody to think, buildup of error. Let me hear somebody else. What does aging mean to somebody else? Somebody from this side. Nobody? Who's going to play with me? Passage of time. Okay. Does everybody get a picture, though, in your mind of what aging looks like to you? What you associate that word with? Yeah. Let me hear some descriptors. What? Wrinkles. Wrinkles. Okay, so we think of wrinkles. What else do we think of? Loss of mobility, Dr. Pam, and brain power. Gray hair. Okay, so we're thinking of signs and symptoms, things that start to kind of make us move differently, think differently, right? Look differently, not in a way that we like. Yeah? But guess what's really powerful about this? I want to invite you all right now, eyes up here. We've got to upgrade this, upgrade it right now, because your meaning that you give your words matter, because that is information that is speaking to your DNA. Check this out. What you perceive, you conceive. We know in a 2-decade-long research project conducted by Dr. Levy, she was questioning, like, hey, what is it that's really moving the needle? Like, could our perception, the meaning that we give, the very concept of aging, inform, influence, and drive aging? I don't know, let's test it. So over 2 decades, they looked at the data, they looked at the materials, and guess what they found out? Individuals with a more, and there was thousands of people in this study, it wasn't just like 12 people. Individuals with a more positive self-perception of aging lived 7.5 years longer than those with a less positive self-perception. And listen, here, and for any of my scientists out there, this is the big catcher. This advantage remained after age, gender, socioeconomic status, loneliness, functional health, and included covariates. Those are all the other things that could kind of like smudge the data. It stayed stable across. So if I could give you one thing, if I can't get through all my slides because I got a lot of them, I'm a giver, I love to share. If I can give you one thing today, if you start right here, you can change it all. because what you think, you do conceive, and our bodies are truly listening. And so I want to invite you all just to ask yourself this question. This is how you're going to start to consider a new potential reality for you, how you want to move through your reality. If I could, this is the question, if I could live as long as I want to, as well as I want to, doing what I love with the people that I love, how long would I want to live? Forever. We got some that are forever. I don't know if I want to, I love that. I salute you, my brother. I don't know that I want to live forever because I think there's a little beauty in knowing that there's some finite time. It brings a bit more preciousness to it, but I want to go till the wheels fall off. Happy, healthy, happy, healthy, happy, healthy, I'm out. That's it, right? Peace. And it was fun the whole entire time, so let's do this. Yes. But it all starts right here. So you can change it. You can give yourself 7.5 more healthy years right now just by starting to ask yourself new questions. And instead of thinking of aging as a breakdown and dysfunction, start to think of it as saging. I'm gonna sage like a fine wine. It gets better versus I'm gonna break down and who knows if they're gonna come visit me in the nursing home, okay? So it's all about this. These inputs and outputs are talking to our DNA every single moment, and it's everything. Because all of it, the way that we methylate, the way that we speed up or slow down this biological clock, if you will, all is how our systems are reading the meaning we give it. What's coming in? Do I like it or do I not? Is it good for me or not? So what is coming in? Physical, mental, emotional, chemical, environmental, electronical, all of it. It is informing, it is influencing, but this can upgrade it because these are all demands to the system. And I like to keep it really, really simple. You got a lot of demands coming in. It's like a lot of work coming in, but you just laid some people off. You got a lot of work ahead. Do you have enough gas in the tank to do the job, to get to where you gotta go? Because if you're running out of gas, you can't keep up with the demands, everything starts to break down and goes to hell, does it not? So, we get to, in order to start to remodel our DNA, slow down the rate and pace of aging, we get to first stop and look at ourselves. Can I keep up with my life's demands? Do I have too much coming at me and not enough gas in the tank to meet it? Because if so, that's problem number one. I don't care what biohack you're doing. I don't care what molecules you're taking. I don't care what treatments and procedures you're having. You will never outpace this. This is always going to win, and it's going to crash and burn you. So please, let's stay really simple. Can I keep up with the demands? If I am too over, and how would you know? Well, you know in your calendar, you know if you're always feeling stressed. People that know me know getting ready for this week, I was a little like, oh crud, I got a lot. This week had a lot of demands, had a lot of overloads. But guess what comes tomorrow? I'm gonna take a minute at the beach before I go home to pause, to rest, to recover, to reset, okay? So I can recalibrate my own system so I don't keep crashing and burning and crashing and burning and crashing and burning. And we are the only ones that can give that gift to ourselves. So in the field of longevity, we look at this and we say, this has been going on. We've always been looking for the fountain of youth. We as a collective human species. People are like, how do we live longer? How do we live longer? And so the scientists came together and said, hey, everybody was labs all across the world. We think we got the answer. We think we got the answer. And they finally all came together and said, there's this system. We have found now, as of this past year, it was 9 back in 2013, and this past year we took it up to 12 hallmarks of aging. And if you guys want to learn more about this, you come over, talk to us at the Human Longevity Institute. We go deep into this, but for the context of today, I just want you to know, this is really looked at more like a matrix. We are not a piece, we are not a part, we are not just a thyroid, we are not just a spleen. We are not to treat our bodies and our health in silos. We are an integrative, complex, biodynamic human organism. And everything interplays with everything else in the body. And so this shows, like, I don't have a pointer on this, but the whole blue area that you guys are seeing on the slides, that's all dealing with your DNA. The first 5 foundational hallmarks of aging, and they're called the primary hallmarks. And they say when that starts to go offline, everything else goes offline. So we can work with the mitochondria, we can give them some more energy with red light, but guess what? If we're not repairing our DNA, if we're not reading our DNA, if we're not replicating our DNA, we have a real problem, do we not? So we're saying, all right, the root expression, I'm gonna keep it real simple. We add all this together, and an easy way to think about it, is when we have too many demands, too much stress that overloads, the signature of too much is inflammation. Inflammation, again, I'm keeping it simple. There's a lot more precision to this, but for today, just think when we have too much, our body's overloaded, there's a lot of noise. So think of inflammation as noise. Think of it starting to cause all this disruption, and now we're writing down marks left and right. This is dangerous because, oh my gosh, we got too much stress. We can't keep up. I got to let the next generation know. So literally, we're methylating, we're marking, we're closing off access to parts of the DNA. This is a fancy scientific picture to try to show this is really the process of your DNA get wound up really tightly to keep them protected. When they open acetylation, when they close methylation, that unspooling is how it gets read, okay? We can't keep it open all the time. So if it stays way too open, we have problems. If it stays way too closed, we have problems. And what is at the root of this is, again, too many demands causing just too much inflammation, too much noise, too much chaos, too much lack of proper communication in the system. And so there's a real fancy term for what this does. It's called epigenetic drift, meaning over time, things start to drift, they lose their position, the marks start to move, and it's just becoming a sloppy mess, is what it is. It's just chaos. That's what happens as we chronologically age. It's not that aging so much is a disease. It's that, we don't know how to do aging because we just expect it's supposed to just break down. You don't have to break down. You don't have to. You can take much better care of this whole thing. And so how do we remodel the DNA? We're going to quickly, and you're like, but Melissa, this is what we want. So maybe, I think everybody's gone a few minutes over. Maybe we'll get an extra 5 minutes. We're going to fast talk about the methods, the molecules, and the mechanisms. So this is where we come to, oh, hey, if you guys want this is a fast start to help right here tune this beautiful mind. This age reversal guide is built off the counterclockwise study. We give you a very simple, one simple mental exercise that has been clinically proven to reverse biological age and biomarkers in as little as 7 days. So grab that, my little gift from my heart to yours. Quick, here we go. All right, here's proven methods. I'm gonna really make this all simple. So this is the stuff that we think are yawners, okay? Oh, physical activity, Melissa, great, brilliant, thank you, this is why I'm here. Caloric restriction, time-restricted eating, meditation, mindfulness, nourishment, supplement, rest, recover, light, and time. That seems way too simple, Melissa. Well, guess what? It really is. Here's what we know. Physical activity, in as little as 8 weeks, you can reverse your biological age by as little as 5, and actually some studies are saying upwards of 15 years, okay? But we're just going conservative. 5 to 11 years in 8 weeks, 150 minutes a week. That's nothing. That's 30 minutes, 5 days a week, you guys. It's 10 minutes after every meal, 3 times a day. Stabilize your glucose, move your body. It doesn't mean going to the gym and doing crazy things. It means moving in ways that feel enjoyable. Stand instead of sit. Park further away in the heart healthy section than right up front at the door. Give ourselves a little ability to move through life and feel it and enjoy it and be with it and be present. This is expressing more than 238 genes to create positive methylation changes. So methylation, we start to change methylation, we start to remodel the DNA. We remodel the DNA, we age slower, okay? So just kind of putting the dots together for you. There's a lot of, I'm not gonna go through the whole slides, take a picture if you want them just because of time. I do wanna take a moment, and because this is gonna become important in a few minutes. Caloric restriction and time-restricted eating. Fancy word for intermittent fasting. Biohackers love to intermittent fast. Do you? Yeah? Okay. I'm going to tell you some things that you might not like. Depending on, okay, caloric restriction with this what we have found in the studies with as little as a 10% reduction. What does that mean? If you're eating a 2,000 calorie a week and you just go to 1,800 calories, with as little as a 10% reduction, you are going to extend your lifespan by a minimum of 3 years, by minimum, okay? What we know with time-restricted eating, here's what I want to tell you. Intermittent fasting. All that means is there's a time that we eat, there's a time that we don't. And how many 16-8ers in here do I got? How many 5-2s? How many OMADs? Okay, those are all fun little terms for when I eat and when I don't. If you are already symptomatic, if you are already experiencing any kind of health crisis, signs of aging that you don't like, doing extreme intermittent fasting actually creates more stress to the system. So I tell this to my students, I tell this to my clients all the time. Even good can become bad in an overloaded system. All this beautiful biohacking stuff is good until it's not. When our system is overloaded, it cannot take on more. That's another input, another demand. But I don't have gas in the tank. What? I can't do it. It doesn't need more and more and more when it really needs to rest and recover. So when we're way out of balance, we need to get back in balance with nature and our circadian rhythms and timing. And that would have us eat with the sun, fast with the dark. 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. is our beautiful window. So guess what? That is actually intermittent fasting. But we're eating at specific times when our hormones release. I'll show you that in a moment. And it resets our metabolic health and function, helps to regulate blood sugar, insulin, helps to activate pathways of longevity versus pathways of aging. And this is a very simple practice that can add life to your years and years to your life. Meditation, let's not, listen, gang, semantics. It is really interesting the power that we give words. Some people get really freaked out by the word meditation because they think it's a religious thing. It's just a fancy way to say, get quiet, be mindful, be still, be still. That's it. Bring your attention here now. Not to the 1,000 things, not to scrolling on your phone, not to the 20 to-do list. Just be here now with yourself in the moment. Get comfortable in the uncomfortability of the silence in your mind. It's powerful. It's like clearing the noise. So if inflammaging, if dysregulated methylation, if rapid advanced aging is because we got a lot of noise inside of the body and we got a lot of drift and confusion, don't you think that getting quiet for just a few minutes right here can also help our systems to get quiet here? And if we can hear and see and know how to help, better chance that we're gonna help, yes or yes? Yeah. Okay, epi-nourishment. So all weekend long, you guys have been hearing again about methylation, MTHFR. Here's the deal. You can eat what you need to give your DNA the information it needs to survive and thrive. Now, many of us are not eating nutrient-dense diets. We're eating highly processed, over-chemicalized, fast on-the-go, convenience-based foods that just aren't giving our bodies what we need. So we do need to often supplement back in the basics that are missing because we need some basic nutrients to methylate, to allow our body to properly access our genetic potential and expression. So you can get, so these are called epinutrients, bioactive foods. They're, here's really quick, easy. You probably all want to know. Most common sources, green leafy, spinach, romaine, Brussels, eggs, meat, cheese, seaweed, beef, salmon. But it's really a combination of we need folate, we need riboflavin, niacin, peroxidine, biotin, magnesium, methionine, DHA, zinc. Those are the things that we absolutely need to methylate properly. Grab that slide, I'm moving on. But you can eat them in your food. You don't have to go buy stuff, you can eat it. How many people get 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep every night? Let me see those hands. Okay, now I don't want to freak everybody else out who didn't raise their hand. But if you get less or you get more, you are already predisposed to aging at a faster rate and pace. Sleep is your most critical time to heal, to repair, and to rejuvenate. It is the most essential. If I had to tell you, if you're like, Melissa, I learned so many things this weekend, where do I even start? Man, work your way to improving your sleep. And I'm gonna tell you how to do that because just by getting 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep a night, you can add 5 years and this affects how your DNA remodel. So I don't really have time to go through this, but this is just the idea. You know when you go to the gym and you work out? Okay, if we keep working out, we keep working out, we keep working out, we keep breaking down. Every time you work out, you're breaking down, right? So this is what's supposed to happen. This is why we're supposed to rest. Look at the center line. That's normal state. You have a demand, a big load to the system, whether you're going to the gym or life is coming at you, like you just had some big unknown stress event, you dip down. You did hard work, okay? You dipped down. Well, you're supposed to go rest. so you can recover. Because when we rest and recover, there's a natural arc that comes up. And this is what, for any of us in this lane that know the word hormesis, hormetic stress is like doing actually things that are kind of bad for you in small doses to inoculate the system to get stronger. So we put a load on the system, we put a challenge to the system, but then we let it recover so it can rebound and actually get stronger. Like that's what resilience is about. And here's what we know in the data and the literature. When we lose resilience, we lose our life. We don't have resilience, we're not recovering. If we can't recover, we are just breaking down until we're done, okay? So how do you measure it on your own? We don't have to, heart rate variability, but you can even start with your own heart rate. This right here, every morning, get out of bed. If you're over 74 beats per minute, you are already in a stress event. You are already at an increased rate and risk of increased mortality, faster path to chronic disease. So you want to make a change in your health and your aging, you start to work on lowering your heart rate. How do I do that, Melissa? Slow down. You can start with your breath. Bring your breath rate down. We should be breathing between 6 and 10 respirations, ideally per minute. Most of us today are 14 to 20. At 6 breaths per minute is what's called coherence. And that's where the brain and the heart and our autonomic nervous system that regulates all the noise and all the stress calms and knows that it's safe. So we want to start to slow aging. We want to modulate our stress. We want to breathe deeply. And we can do all this quickly. We can start sleeping better at night. We can start to move better and have more energy during the day when we set our circadian clocks. Rise with the sun. Yeah, grab this real quick because I'm almost out of time. They're going to boot me and I still have a bunch of slides. So here's what's really important. This 24-hour light-dark cycle, the light talks to our brain, suprachiasmatic nucleus, fancy term for the master controller, that then talks to every cell in your body. Every cell in your body has clocks, you guys. Has clocks. Does anybody ever run late? What happens if you run late? It turns bad sometimes, right? People are waiting in the traffic and I miss an appointment. My dad can't stand running late. Can't stand it. Like, come on, we gotta go. Yes, okay, Dad, we're going. Our clocks don't like running late, but we are messed up. We are out of sync. We are out of time because all of this fake light, because we are not outdoors with the sun. We're staying, our rooms are lit. We have too much noise, too much distraction, so we need it. Rise with the sun, rest with the dark, mimic nature, move with the sun, eat with the sun, do with the sun, be active. Rest with the dark, relax with the dark, fast with the dark, recover with the dark. Let your inner environment mimic the outer environment. When lights go down outside, they go down inside. Keep it super simple, common sense, gang. Okay, molecules, because a lot of y'all want to know about this. These are some of our favorite things. Very quick, I'm just focusing on 3. These are all shown to help reduce the rate and pace of biological aging, extend lifespan. 2 are peptides, okay? 1 is a nutrient. We've got apidolon, calcium alpha-ketoglutarate, and we have GHKU copper. Take the slide. Super cool peptide. Come talk to me at the booth. We'll talk longer. Okay, so apidolon made in the pituitary. This helps to regulate that rate and pace. It's involved with not only DNA remodeling and methylation, but it also affects your telomeres. So telomeres don't correlate with how many years you're gonna live. They correlate with how well you're gonna live. We used to think it was how many. Now we know it's health span, not lifespan. But this is going to extend your quality of health. GHKU, so this is amazing with wound healing, skin, for all of us that don't want wrinkles, we want this. We want more hair, we want this. We want DNA repair, we want this. We want nerve regeneration, we want this, okay? More than 4,000 genes are impacted with this one peptide. Pretty impressive stuff. This one I love with calcium alpha-ketoglutarate, amazing research out of Bucks Institute. We have now over 2 years of data collection of looking at the remodeling that happens at about the 18-month mark. But we are seeing phenomenal, proven in human studies, 8 years and 8 months with this. Pretty phenomenal. Okay, but we think the mechanisms are all this. All the biohacking technology is amazing. It mimics the human technology. That's what this is. Can I get a faster return on my investment? Because this investment's breaking down. I haven't been taking care of it. I need a little help. I need jumper cables. That's what all this is out here. It's jumper cables. And so temperature, what is temperature? It's sauna and cold plunge, okay? What is light? It's your red light therapies, okay? What's sound? It's all the cool beds you guys have been listening to, all the cool headsets you've been putting on. It's sound, it's frequency, it is vibration. I cannot believe that we don't have HBOT here. I'm not like, but oxygen. If you don't breathe, right, we can go weeks without food and water. How long can you go without oxygen? Minutes. You gotta breathe. We're not breathing properly. Close the mouth, breathe in and out through the nose. Low, slow, in and out through the nose. But those are the mechanisms. So here's how we teach it at Human Longevity Institute. It starts with the foundations. You have got to crawl, that's lifestyle, before you walk, before you run. All this fancy stuff that we spend a lot of money on, you can, but you can do it all on your own because the cell just needs a few basic things to survive and thrive. It needs oxygen, it needs light, nutrients, water, carbs. Okay, the nutrients are your minerals, your macro and your micros. They break down your carbohydrates, lipid, proteins, vitamins, minerals, because that's what creates the methylation. That's what helps your cellular metabolism to run and to work. And so we just need to eat better, to move better, to breathe better, to be better, to slow down, to be present, to keep it very simple. Because what you do today impacts your tomorrows. Do less of what overloads you. Gang, don't make it so complicated. Yes, we can geek out with our wearable technology. We can totally go down our data-driven and look at all of our metrics. And how much did you get? How much did you? We can, but is that helping? If it feels good, do it. If it doesn't, if it stresses you out, don't do it. And I'm getting wrapped. So do less of what overloads. Do more of what supports, because it is very simple to attune to the natural rhythms. We are nature's technology expressed. Get back in sync with who you are from sun up to sundown. Come see me at the booth. We've got lots of free goodies if you want them. And grab that QR code. I'm Dr. Melissa Petersen, founder of the Human Longevity Institute, and I believe that aging is optional and meaning matters. So begin to give yourself meaning of how you want to not just survive, but thrive forward from today. Thank you guys. It's been a pleasure.